It's Mo. It is, I was gonna say June. It's not June, it's September 25th, and I have started Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczek. Now this was my August, because August was Women in Translations Month, TBR Tackle. For all previous TBR Tackle books, except the first one, which was Frankenstein, all of those are listed down below. You can see my whole TBR Tackle playlist if you're interested in catching up with TBR Tackle. But for everyone except January and August, I tried to pick a book by a person of color, but for August, because it was Women in Translation Month and because Kieran loves Tokarczek's work, I thought reading Drive Your Plow would be a good time. I did not get to this in August. Part of the reason why is because my friend here on BookTube, Miss Danielle, I will leave her channel link below, wanted to do this as a buddy read, and we just didn't have time to coordinate it until now. So we have started reading this book. We're reading it a few chapters at a time, and then we're checking in like every couple of days. Now, I've only done a few buddy reads, so I don't know if this is the best way to buddy read. So if you are more familiar with buddy reads or have a great system, definitely feel free to explain it to us in the comments below, because I would love to know like a better way to buddy read or a way that makes more sense. Getting back to TBR Tackle, if you don't know what TBR Tackle is, it's a super fun TBR game that Kieran of Katie Books created at the beginning of the year. In the beginning of 2022, we all picked 12 books, and each month there is a prompt which has a different method for us to pick which book to read out of those 12 books. So in January we picked a book and we read it, and then we had 11 books. In February we picked a book and read it, and then we had 10 prompts, etc., etc. At this moment we're getting close to picking our October book. My September book was Ghost Bride, and you can already see that vlog up. But because I delayed Drive Your Plow, August is going up after September. It's not too late to participate in TBR Tackle. All you have to do is grab 3 books. One for October, one for November, one for December. Or maybe it'll be November, maybe you'll only need 2 books by the time this vlog comes out, I don't know. But either way, pick the appropriate amount of books, watch the video. It'll probably change your stack anyway, so who knows what's gonna happen. And then you'll pick a book to read for that month and you can continue. Another fun way to do this is just to follow the prompts in order. You don't have to do them monthly, you don't have to do them starting in January. You could start now with 12 books and just go back and watch Kieran's videos for all the 12 prompts and be able to read books that way. If it takes you a week to read them or if it takes you a month to read them, that's fine too. You can play this game any way that appeals to you. Especially because all the rules change all the time and it gets crazy. My TBR Tackle book for August is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. I am really enjoying it so far. I am currently, as of today, only 60 pages in, so I have not read that much, but it definitely already has a tone and feel of a Nordic or Eastern European feeling book from what I have read of Nordic and Eastern European work. It's set in a very cold, desolate, isolated place. It puts a lot of emphasis on how like dark and short the days are and how cold and bleak the landscape is, and this is something that I have found to be a common thread in places where it stays dark for a long time and they don't have a lot of daylight. I think it works particularly well for this book because this book is a mystery of sorts. It's definitely billed or described as a mystery, but I don't think the mystery is the thing that you think it's going to revolve around. I think the mystery is more like coming to understand these characters, and especially our main character. Our main character is an older woman who lives in this small, isolated, remote village, and she is an outsider even in kind of a town of outsiders. She stays in the village all year round, even though most of the inhabitants leave for the harsh winter, and she checks on all the people's houses that are there, and it's kind of her job, along with some of her neighbors who also spend the winter there as well, to make sure that the town runs smoothly while while most of the townspeople are somewhere else. In the very beginning of this book, she's woken by her neighbor, and this is not only her closest neighbor, but potentially one of her closer friends, even though they really don't know each other that well. Again, she's an outsider, she's a loner, and she's a little bit odd. She loves astrology, and she comes up with her own name for people and things, and she puts emphasis on nature and animals and on other things that other people might deem as unimportant. Her neighbor comes and lets her know that their third neighbor who stays in the village has died and they need to go take care of the body. So that's how this book begins. The third neighbor, who she calls Bigfoot's death, seems to be nothing more than an accident, and perhaps the mystery is going to revolve around how Bigfoot died, but it seems to me that the mystery is more her life and her perception of life and how we're going to get little pieces of her life a little bit at a time throughout the book. I'm enjoying being able to buddy read it with someone because I do think there's already a lot of interesting bookish things about this book. I don't think there's been much commentary or conversations in this book besides just what's happening in the book, but I do think that the way that this author writes is going to be a major topic for us in our buddy read. When we read some more, I will definitely let you know.
August had the batting title kind of like sewed up if he didn't play the last game. But Mattingly did play the last game, and then he Wade Boggs beat him by like a point. It was like a bitch move by Wade Boggs to like sit down.
That was really low.
There was that story about Ted Williams, whenever he was going to hit 400, and then he was hitting 400 going into the last doubleheader. And then they said like, oh, you don't have to play, you can hit 401. But then he played anyway, and he got like 6 or 7 hits in the day.
Yep. Yeah, that's real baseball.
So, it is quite a bit later, and I have been reading. I only have like an eighth left. I only have about, let's see, I'm on page 220, 274. So 54 pages left to go on this one, and we've been catching up on Instagram. She's been a little bit ahead of me the entire time. Not the book that I was expecting. I was expecting more of a quiet Nordic/Eastern European thought-provoking book with some mystery element to it, but this book is a lot weirder than that. The main character is quite weird and interesting, and the way that she relates to the world is definitely not the way normal people relate to the world, and definitely more of an interesting concept than I thought it would be, and I think almost a more interesting concept than the central mystery. When I last spoke to you, well, first of all, I wasn't sure where this one was set, but it's set in Poland, right on the border of the Czech Republic. Still very descriptive in the dark, cold winters, in the blooming of spring, just the environment in general, and the town, and some of the things that are important to this mystery have to do with those kind of outside, the outdoors, and those areas. So them being very descriptive and evocative is definitely aiding, I think, the tension, but also the mystery of the book. I also wasn't sure when I last spoke to you if the mystery was going to be the death of Bigfoot and the subsequent kind of investigation, but that definitely is it. The whole mystery starts with that and then continues and unravels and reveals. And now I'm at the point where quite a few things have happened and our characters are all kind of coming together. So all the people that were separate are kind of coming together, and how they interact and how they relate and what the true source of the mystery is and what the true reveal of the mystery is hopefully will happen in the next 54 pages. This book is definitely reminding me quite a bit of The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Not necessarily in the horror aspects, although there are some gruesome moments in this. There's not a lot of like physical body horror the way there is in that book, but some of the themes are similar and some of the tone of the book is similar in a way of like people being from a place but being outside that place. I think it's an interesting comparison. I'd be interested to know other people who read both those books, besides the more obvious themes, if some of the underlying themes also made them think of the other book. Super enjoying this. I really thought this was going to be like dense and hard to read and academic, even though obviously it billed as a mystery because of Tokarczek's other works like Book of Jacob. I really thought that this one was going to be like a slog to get through. It was going to be very big-brained, very over my head, but I actually think that this is so accessible and quick to read and compelling. It definitely helps that I feel very connected to the main character. She's an astrologist. I'm not that much into astrology. It's something that I can relate to, someone being that interested in that. It's just so quick and easy to read. It's fairly plain language, but then because of the emphasis the main character puts on different things and because of the names that she gives people and things and places, it's so interesting and it's a little bit weird and it's a little bit mysterious. I want to know what the results are, so I'm loving this. This could end up in my top 10 of the year, I think, but let's see how the last like 50 pages, 60 pages go, and I'll catch up with you when I finish. I'm thinking that this is going to be kind of a short vlog, partly because I haven't checked in very often, but also because I don't have any other prompt to look at, because with all my TBR Tackle books, I will usually watch the prompt in the previous vlog, read that book, and then watch the next prompt at the end of the vlog. Since this book was from August, I've already done September's reading and then October's prompt reveal, so I won't have anything to reveal with this one. Let me know if you've read Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead or any of Tokarczek's other work like Flights, because now I'm definitely interested in reading pretty much everything. I don't think I'll be reading the Book of Jacob just because it's huge and it's like historical fiction, but who knows, maybe I will. Let me know.
Six tonight. Make it 7 as he takes care of birdie for the second time.
So I have finished Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. I actually finished this a couple of weeks ago and forgot to finish and do an outro for this vlog. That's what happens when you don't have another TBR Tackle to watch at the end of reading your book. So I really liked this book. It was so much fun to buddy read it and hear Miss Danielle's thoughts. And Miss Danielle guessed the ending. She knew right away what was going to happen. Although I think we both wished that there had been a little bit more to the end of this story, I was definitely in denial about what the ending was going to be. The writing was so crisp and clean and interesting with its own quirks and idiosyncrasies. I really enjoyed our main character, and this was one of those books similar to We Have Always Lived in the Castle that I've identified with really well and that I felt a little bit seen in, whereas that book I felt was made for me. This book wasn't as akin to me, but I definitely really just loved being with these people and these characters, and I felt a strong bond to the main character and to the motivations that were happening for a lot of the characters. I definitely really want to read more of her work because I'd be interested to see if that phenomenon carries over to other characters or if this is kind of a isolated incident of that happening. Let me know if you would suggest any books in a similar vein to this. It definitely falls into that category of mystery, sort of cozy mystery, sort of quirky mystery, but from a literary author. I wouldn't qualify this along the same lines as the cat cozy mysteries that I've been reading. I wouldn't characterize this as a funny mystery, which, like, I know there are some of those. This is like kind of its own beast. It feels at the same time literary and serious and intelligent, and also quirky and strange and compelling. So let me know any books that you can think of that are kind of like that. So this was my TBR Tackle book for August. Definitely check out my TBR Tackle book for September, which was Ghost Bride. Usually at the end of these videos, I watch the next prompt, but I already have my prompt for October. You can see that in the Ghost Bride video. And so I will be reading Ghazi's Transcendent Kingdom for October. So keep your eyes peeled for my October vlog, and in that vlog, we will look at the November prompt and we will pick our November TBR Tackle book. It's never too late to play TBR Tackle. You can pick 12 books and start at the beginning, or you can pick 2 books and start in November. And thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!